Or two. Jesse.
We're going to get going.
Good job.
So good afternoon, everyone. It's 4:02 and we're going to call Wednesday, October 15, 2025, regular meeting of the Tweed New Haven Airport Authority order. As usual, first order of business is to approve the minutes from last month. Is there a motion to approve? Mike, is there a second?
Second.
We'll give to Kevin. He will get you on the back end. Okay, we have two of our board members, two of our newer board members are present. Anyway, with that first, with the motion approved and seconded, all in favor of approving the minutes from last month? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? And that motion carries. Actually, any comments or suggestions or corrections before we move on? Seeing none, that motion is approved. Thank you. All right, Chairman's report, item 3 on the agenda. The only report out is that our East Haven board member, Judy Misson, resigned 9/16, 25 last month, and we're waiting for East Haven to appoint her replacement. As soon as that information comes over, that new appointment will pass that information on to the board. That concludes the chairman's report. Fourth item on the agenda is the executive director's report. Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At the last, Mr. Scussel had suggested an amendment to a prior resolution. I've been in contact with him and we're going to address that at next month's meeting. He's just suggesting a minor amendment to a previously passed resolution. Excuse me, so we'll address that in November.
Oh, okay.
You have on the agenda tonight a resolution, and it's for the executive director's transition agreement, which is me. It's just as it says, a agreement to continue on a limited basis my services beyond suspension of my existing agreement and assist in the transition and selection of the replacement. Later in the meeting, turn over to Avport's Matt Shelby will be presenting us a air service update, which will be very interesting. Another item we have on the 22nd, Monday, we met with FAA to discuss our capital plan and subsequent steps that coordinate the available funding and how we can phase our projects and ensure that we maximize the funds that are available through FAA. Yesterday, we had an environmental stewardship committee meeting. The items discussed there were the noise monitor update, the canceling of the ZEV grant, and an update on the residential sound improvement program, as well as the HEPA filter update. Just a note, I'm sure everybody has heard about the government shutdown, and at this point in time, currently, there are minimal impacts to the airport, but my experience has been that the longer something like this goes, the impacts start to creep in to the airport system. And I would just like to thank all the federal workers, especially TSA, that are currently working. We greatly appreciate their service. On the statistics, they're in your packet. And for July of 2025, indicated 20% increase in passenger enplanements over last July, or 11,306 passengers. Year to date, the enplanements are up 35%. And we surpassed the 700,000 passenger enplanements for 12 months. We are at 703,992. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Tom. Any questions for Tom?
What do you suppose our capacity is?
That's, please don't take this as a political answer, but when people ask that question, it's very complicated because we have multiple capacities. We have a landside capacity, a terminal capacity, and a ramp capacity, and an airside overall capacity. I'll start with the runway. Our runway has plenty of room for, more landings and takeoffs. The ramp is probably close to capacity, probably about 70. You might be able to squeeze some more. there are peaks and valleys certain times of day, obviously, where you're getting in. Our terminal is very congested, but probably a little more room for expansion. And again, they keep doing improvements on the land side, which is helping it, but that's I would say close. I wouldn't say close to capacity, but between terminal, land side, I would estimate we're at about 75% of our capacity, and the ramp is a little higher.
But the
That's my
first
guess.
constraint is the ramp. The first
Partner.
constraint you hit on growth is the ramp,
Actually, I believe it would be the terminal.
the terminal.
Yeah.
And you estimate
We're at
75%.
probably 75%. And again, and I'll be honest with you, Matt Shelby knows a lot about this type of thing. He's formerly with the airlines. He's very knowledgeable. And he could probably even lend more information to that when it's on the fly. I'm sorry. I answered that
Gotta
directly.
end
I
up.
should have asked the chair.
Who's that? Hi, Mark Scussle. Question for Tom?
Yeah, I got a couple. Were you done answering that other question, Tom?
I believe so. Dean?
Okay,
Yeah, I'm done. Thanks.
okay, no worries. You said meeting with the FAA. When is that going to be? Or did you have that already on the CIP?
We had that on the 22nd. And it was just the initial CIP meeting where we lay out and propose what our projects are. The projects have not really changed. It's simply a matter of timing and dollar amounts and when they may become available. So FAA has taken that back. They've requested some additional information from the consultant, which is they're in the process of providing them that. And they will then come back with, better feedback as to when certain pots of money may be available and how we might structure the timing of those projects.
And then my second question, you said there's minimal impacts currently. What could you categorize what those might be or?
One example may be the PFC application that is going through the approval process. It shouldn't have any impact on the regional level. However, it has to go down to Washington headquarters, and my understanding is that I believe legal counsel, number of members have been furloughed in Washington, so it could possibly delay that process. That's one example.
Okay, but nothing as far as operations go?
Not day
guess.
to day, but as I said, as time goes by, you can imagine
Yep.
as people, how it works.
Understand. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to try to categorize what that meant, minimal. Thanks.
Any other questions for the executive director? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item 4, Finance Committee report. Marina?
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. We have reviewed the financials for the August 2025, and Tom is going to give a full report. Thank you.
Thank you, Serena.
Thank you, Serena. On the airfield account, the revenues for August, actual revenues excluding lessee subsidy of 169,343 in total came in at 107,034. The actual subsidy required was under budget by 150,765 for the month. Year to date, actual revenues excluding the 320,287 subsidy were 210,492 or better than budgeted by 17,445. Expenses in the airfield account were 276,377, which is under budget by 140,255. Year-to-date expenses of 530,780 are below budget by 302,485. In the admin account, the total revenues for August were 80,490, which is over budget by 14,636. Year to date, the actual revenues were 141,457, or over budget by about 17,020. Expenses in the admin side of the house for the month were 978. Year to date, actual expenses were under budget by 14,688. Actual net results for the admin fund for August was a positive 7,511. And year to date at this point, it's a negative 3,564, but still better than budget by 31,739. On the balance sheet, the fund balance at the end of this period is 358,392. And overall liabilities and fund balances are 1,863,440. That concludes the finance report.
Great, great. Thank you, Tom. Any questions on the finance report for Tom or Serena? Any questions on the finance report? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item 6, the airport manager's report. Is Matt going to,
I'll be giving
are we
the,
giving that? Okay, great. And where's Matt on the agenda?
so it'll follow the landside report.
He'll do the leases report?
Yeah, so I'll just run through our airside, landside report.
Unless you,
Gotcha.
And then, we'll kick over to Matt, and then I'll follow Matt's presentation with community engagement.
Right. That's good. Just tell me when Matt jumps in.
All right, well, thanks, Mr. Chairman. So in Jeremy's stead today, I'll run through our airside and landside reports, starting with airside. We had held a pre-bid meeting for pavement repair RFP. And so we expect responses to be received on that project by October 22nd. In the meantime and throughout, of course, we'll continue to monitor runway pavement. We had a tenant snow meeting scheduled tentatively for November 20th, and we'll be sending that meeting invite out by the end of this week. So of course, as the weather starts to turn, a lot of our focus and attention starts to turn to preparation for the holiday travel season in inclement weather. We met with our air traffic controls interim manager to prepare for winter operations and coordinate on future construction projects. Afports, we've also hired a new environmental health and safety manager whose initial focus will be working with our consulting team to continue the development of our safety management systems program here at the airport. We also continue to monitor our operations team, ongoing wildlife activity, and coordinate regularly with the U.S. Department of Agriculture to control impacts and delays to aircraft movements. And then lastly, on the airside report, we held a pre-construction meeting with Oshkosh, which is the company that manufactures our aircraft rescue and firefighting trucks, to complete specs for a new ARF truck, which will be set to be delivered in 2027. That concludes our airside report.
Great, thank you. Any questions on the air side? We do have one. Is that Mark Scussel?
Yeah, Tom, you said there's a new environmental and safety manager.
That's right.
Is there roles defined for that person? Like, so we can understand what they'll be doing or?
Yeah, so there's a defined role. I can make sure to share that with the board prior to next meeting, or make sure they'll get circulated after this meeting.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions for Tom? Okay, Tom, you're on.
Okay, on land side, just a couple quick updates. So we've coordinated with TSA to establish a third credential checkpoint while maintaining the existing baggage drop procedures, which will help us minimize delays during the holiday travel season. So as you go into departures now, we have 2 credential checkpoints. We'll be adding a third checkpoint and have worked with TSA to have that equipment rolled out, which we expect to happen towards the end of the next month. And that equipment is called Cat 2, so it's pretty sophisticated new equipment. So we're excited to be rolling that out. And that'll help us, of course, ahead of the holiday travel season. We'll make sure that we staff personnel to that effectively to manage passenger volumes and baggage flow. And then the last report on landside is just that we continue to have regular coordination meetings with the New Haven Police Department in preparation of the holiday travel period. So as you can feel when you go outside, the weather's starting to turn. So is a lot of our attention towards preparation, coordination for the holidays.
Great. Any questions for Tom, the land side? None? Okay, Tom.
All right, so that concludes airside, landside. We can kick it over to
Matt?
Matt.
Hey, Matt. All right, hey, for Matt, how you doing?
Good afternoon, everyone. Good to see all of you.
Good to see you. So
How's
we have-
everybody?
We have some new members, so if you would just please introduce yourself a little bit about your background and then jump into your report.
Sure. So, I came to Avports probably 4 years ago, and I introduced myself to a town the other day, and I was formerly the naysayer in chief, right? So I led airport real estate for a number of airlines for basically the last 20 years or so. So I was the one that always complained, about airports or complained about prices, et cetera. And so I joined the team here at Avports about 4 years ago, and I lead our development operations and as well as sort of our airline relations, right? So just leveraging those contacts from the last couple of decades. And I'm also responsible for our air services, which is a little bit about what I'll talk about today. Just a brief update, entertain any questions you all have kind of about any of the conversations that we've had or anything happening relative to the service there. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah, great, Matt. Go ahead and kick it off.
Great. All right. Let me get the screen up here. We close that one and share. Should we get the right screen? And all right. Good. Does that pop it up for everybody?
Yep.
Okay, excellent. All right. So we'll just talk a little bit here, just about, capacity and about HVN relative to the industry. So you think about 23, 24, and 25, you can see that New Haven, we talk about it as the fastest growing airport, in the country. But there's truth to that for a reason, right? The rest of the industry has grown, even in 23, 9%, 24, 4%. We've definitely seen a pullback in 25, but not necessarily at New Haven, which has continued to grow at even a faster clip this year, growing at 32%, far eclipsing the U.S. domestic average in capacity. So I think not only has it been historically a fantastic story, we think it will continue to be sort of a great story. And all indications from our conversations, both with the current and hopefully future airlines, are that will continue. Again, it's just a great story in Southern Connecticut. So again, when we think about our largest customer, of course, is Avelo. New Haven is by far its largest and most successful station. I think when we think about sort of our their top stations, right? New Haven far eclipses anything in the rest of their system. And I'll pull up a graphic here in a second that talks about where they have pulled down some of their flying. But again, New Haven, I think, continues to be the crown jewel, in their network. We certainly see it as the crown jewel in Avports' network, but it's certainly the crown jewel in Avelo's network, outpacing, the capacity in any of the rest of its stations by far, right? There's not even a close second. It's a distant second. And again, this is from October of 2025, so pretty recent data. So again, you probably read in the news, Avelo did some network changes, some strategic changes, I think, which will actually probably work out well for all of us. They sort of pulled capacity out of some of this West Coast flying, and they reallocated it, some of which to New Haven. So I think we'll continue to see growth here as some of the aircraft that were residing here as sort of bases, sort of get pulled back to the East Coast. Whether they reside in New Haven or they reside, somewhere south and make their way up to New Haven, a substantial portion of the Avelo network touches New Haven every day. So goes New Haven, so goes sort of their network performance, right? And historically, that network performance has been exceptional. It's helped them sort of, obtain a very attractive on-time performance metrics relative to the industry. In what can be a challenging environment. I mean, I love New Haven, but it doesn't always have the best weather. So in any event, we think we'll continue to see growth there, especially with the freeing up of the aircraft that came from some of the changes to the West Coast. That said, even with that route map that we showed you, there were a lot of points on there there are still a number of opportunities that the existing Avelo fleet can reach. And we'll talk about some of the stuff that they could be doing with the future fleet with some recent announcements. But, we would see, these and others, we just pulled some, that we think are probably in the mix that we know they've been considered in the past. And just based on the data that's out there about people traveling every day between these two cities. So when we think about attractive points for air service, we use a metric called passengers daily each way. And when you get up to, roughly half an aircraft or so, it kind of makes sense for someone to fly to that market. And these are all in that range, right? Better than half an aircraft, almost up to a full aircraft, probably makes sense for someone to serve this destination at least once, twice, 3 times a week, right? Because you can carry these passengers nonstop. And some of those passengers may prefer to travel nonstop versus travel a day earlier and make the connection. I think we all like traveling nonstop. So again, I think Austin, Minnie, Indianapolis, New Orleans, Cincinnati, all could be out there. And there are others as well, but these are just, some that we know have been looked at in the past, that continue to carry a reasonable number of passengers daily in each direction.
Matt, question on that
Sure, Mark.
quickly. Where do those numbers come from? Those other airlines, or like how do
Yes, let me back it up here. So these are we actually pull this data from a couple of different sources. So there's the T100 data, and this is what data airlines report to the DOT. So they have to report, sort of their where they fly to, how much they charge people, and the like to the DOT, and the DOT rolls that up in what they call T100 data. We take that a step further, and we also sort of purchase from data providers internet data, right? About not necessarily people specific, but in general searches when people are looking to fly from one destination to another. We sort of, we like to keep our fingers on the pulse of the market to see where people are looking at flying to and from. And then we also we have a couple of other data sources where we can actually see the number of people that are flying to and from a destination. I mean, I'll throw it out there. Sometimes we might use mobile phone data, for example. You can tell the number of people just, when you turn on your device, people traveling to and from. Now, it doesn't identify the person, of course, but you can tell the number of people each day that are moving between destinations. And then that data is out there for purchase. So that's why we know those destinations continue to be popular. Let me continue forward here. And as you all might have read recently in the news, Velo is going to be taking delivery over the course of the next, I think it's a little year out or so, of an additional aircraft for the fleet. So in addition to the Boeing aircraft they operate today, the Dash 700s and the Dash 800s, there is a Brazilian made aircraft, the Embraer, which is an amazing aircraft as far as performance are concerned. Its performance characteristics are some of the best that are out there, frankly. It's not an aircraft that's been flown broadly in the United States to date, but I think with the Velo's purchase, it certainly could become more popular, going forward. But it's got some tremendous performance characteristics. It does not necessarily need a lot of the operational infrastructure that some of the other aircraft, might need. In addition, it's got incredible range on it, right? So if we think about just in the New Haven area, I told you want to kind of get an aircraft full a day to make it make sense, or maybe a half an aircraft full per day to make a service make sense. Well, when you look at these numbers, those are multiple full aircraft per day, right, to some of these destinations, and this aircraft can do it. So while we have not heard, from Avelo what they plan to do, this is what just basic data, people traveling to and from the catchment area around New Haven. This is what people are doing sort of, weekly each way. So, I think we're excited about what they might, ultimately do with that. And fares are important. We like to keep these low for the community that we serve, but we also like for our airlines to be healthy. So it's always kind of a balance. It's like we want these to be low enough to be attractive to the community, but we want them to be, high enough to where the airline doesn't lose money doing it, right? We need them to be, sort of viable, and we want them to stick around. So in any event, we wouldn't be surprised to see those, on the horizon as the fleet and additional aircraft are added to New Haven.
Matt, I have a question.
Sure, David.
What's the range on our 5,600 foot runway? Can it get to Los Angeles? And also, have we? How does that compare against Breeze's A220?
I'll take it in two parts. So the runway that you have today it's okay for some aircraft. Other aircraft are going to struggle with it, right? So while there are aircraft that can operate on that safely, we know today that Avelo takes weight penalties. Even flying shorter stage length flights. Even to the southern tip of Florida, they can't go fully loaded on a hot day, right? Because of the runway length. So again,
Sure.
While there are aircraft that can, the aircraft that they operate today cannot. Second part of that, the A220 is a very high performance aircraft, right? So the A220 could actually do that. So that mission that I just referred to, where Avelo might take a weight penalty, the A220 is smaller and probably maybe overpowered for that mission. So it could certainly fly full. It's got 137 seats, while Avelo's 800 has 189 seats. So it could fly that the mission that I just referred to without an issue off 5,600.
Okay.
And by the way, I didn't mean to fly through any of those slides. Any other questions there? I didn't, because those are juicy topics, and certainly want to chat about them if there's any.
Well, did you answer with the new aircraft? Is that able to do what the 220 does?
They're different manufacturers, right? So I think there are some differences. I don't think we've pulled up exactly what they are yet, and we can do something for a future board meeting if you'd like. Kind of comparing the two. They're both they're both new generation. The hottest and best new thing off the assembly line, right? So they both are going to have amazing performance characteristics, right? Can it do everything the A220 can do? I don't know that answer. We can get it for you. But I would imagine, they're sort of in the category. Embraer, likely produced that aircraft to compete with that Airbus aircraft. So it's a good question. We can certainly dig into it for you.
Yeah, because Matt, the customer experience is so much better with Breeze. I hope we're talking to them about expanding also, other than along with Avelo. We don't want to be 100% ultra low cost carrier. We need somewhat a business carrier here, and Breeze with first class and the service they provide is great for the New Haven area.
It's a great point, David. And we actually met with Breeze. I think that the team and I went out and saw them. I think it was probably about a month or so ago. They had sort of an industry day, and we went out and met with them. And we certainly would like to encourage them to grow into the market for both New Haven and for us, right? Commercially, we'd like to see them grow in the market. Not for the least of which they pay us a reasonable fee to operate at the airport, and that's of course attractive to us. Unfortunately, this next slide, or the slide that I have up here, they came in sort of with a pretty aggressive schedule. They might say they came in a little hotter than they would have liked. Breeze is not a high frequency carrier. Breeze is a relatively low frequency carrier. In fact, I think it's something like 85% of Breeze's stations, cities they serve, locations, have 3 flights a day or less. When they came into New Haven, back in this, late 24, early 25, they came in with quite a lot of capacity for an initial day one startup. And they've rationalized that since then. And so we've seen them sort of tick down over time. And I think the schedules that they've loaded have that continuing to tick down a little bit. So, in order for them to be successful, in the market, I think they'll need, community support, right? We've seen their load factors, tick up a little bit. Initially they were running, their load factors were not very good. We did not think they were doing very well in the market. While we don't have information about their yield, we could see that their load factors were not fantastic. And so we know that their load factors have continued to increase the more that they've continued to mature in the New Haven market, which is good. And so we have to hope that their yields have increased similarly. Because if you think that fare slide that I showed you earlier, they need, both a reasonable fare and a reasonable load factor in order to be successful. And we think that they're there. But now that they're there, we'd like to see them tick back up with some additional growth.
Sure. Okay.
And I think that's all the slides I assembled today. Oh yeah, I think one more here. Just again, we want everybody to be successful, right? We want Breeze to be successful. We want Avelo to be successful. They're our customers, right? But we don't want them, like the thing that would be the worst for us would be if we saw one of them exit the market. As long as they continue to be successful, they will continue to breed success. There are no secrets in this business. The other airlines will see that they are successful, and ultimately those other carriers will want a piece of that success. So it's very incumbent upon us to make sure that we do everything we can to keep them successful. If we think about what Breeze's presence at HVN has done to Avelo, largely because Breeze entered some of the same markets that Avelo was already in, we can see what that's done to some of Avelo's revenue performance, right? It's hit it pretty hard, right? We think, 24 over 25 down 20%. I think if any of our businesses, took a 20% revenue hit, it would probably not be great, right? So we don't talk with, Avelo, and they don't publish their profit and losses, right, necessarily, because they're privately held. We can see what their revenue performance is, and we're interpreting that, Breeze's entry into the market hit them pretty heavily. So again, we still think they're doing okay. They've continued to grow. They tell us they will continue to grow, which is a good sign. But again, sometimes those competitive dynamics can get in the way of that, and we want everyone to be successful, even in a highly competitive world. So pause, see if there's any other questions.
Any questions for Matt? Is that your last slide, Matt?
That is the last slide. Yes.
Nice job, Matt. Thanks.
Thanks. Yeah, glad. Anytime. Let me pause, make sure there's no questions.
And Matt, can you make these slides available to the board?
Absolutely. We'll send them over to
Send them
Felipe and
Tom.
Jeremy. They'll get them to you.
Fantastic. Great job, Matt.
Okay.
Any questions, any final questions before we wrap up with Matt?
Yeah, I have one last one. How soon are we close to getting an American, Delta or United? Aren't they seeing what we're doing here?
David doesn't pull any punches. He just puts it all out
Dave.
there.
No, yeah. I mean, I think it would be great. Give the customers in New Haven a great experience.
So we've met with everybody that you have just spoke of in the last year multiple times. So I would almost wish they were on the call so I could ask them how close we were. Put them on the spot. I honestly believe that our next carrier will be some sort of a network carrier, someone that'll carry that customer from, because today you've got, and it's an amazing thing that you have today, right? Which is the ability to fly from an O to a D, from an origin to a destination nonstop. That's fantastic, right? But that takes you to 33 places. You may want to go to 300 places, which means you need to get from New Haven to a hub. And that's like a Philly, a Charlotte, a Chicago, an Atlanta, or somewhere where you can catch another flight, right? And so I think, continue to believe that, the next new entrant into New Haven will be one of those network type carriers that are, that want to capture some of this traffic. So yeah, David, I don't think we're close. I don't think we're going to hear anything like in the next, couple of months before the end of the year, but I'm certainly hopeful for 26.
Interesting. 26th.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Matt.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Dave.
everyone. Yep. Have a good afternoon.
Fantastic. Great report. Let's move on to item 8, reports and action items. So we do have a resolution.
So brief community update.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
I thought it was going to be 4.
Yeah, well, thanks, Mr. Chairman, and I'll keep this pretty brief and straightforward. Just wanted to kick off with an appreciation to BioCT, which is the state's life sciences and biotech industry association, for the opportunity to join them at and sponsor their annual mixer last month. It's always great to go out to these type of industry events, give us a chance to connect with key leaders in one of the state's most innovative industries and just hear from them directly on how the growth of air service out of Tweed has continued to have a positive impact on their businesses, on their industries, and their ability to do business development. On the topic of innovation, we're also glad to join the state of Connecticut on September 26th for an exciting announcement that named New Haven as Connecticut's first innovation cluster. That designation comes with a $50.5 million investment to support infrastructure and resources for the quantum computing and biotech sectors. So again, that sets a stage for the region and for the city on cutting edge research, innovation, and job growth. And so, it's just exciting to be able to attend those kinds of events, and share in the celebration and the excitement that is the growth, the continued economic growth of our city and our region. And then in the spirit of celebration, joined the Greater New Haven Italian American Heritage Committee for their annual dinner honoring the Italian culture and heritage in our region last week. So that was always a great event, and it's always exciting to attend. Then the last very brief update for the community engagement report is just a quick recap on the status on our residential indoor air program, also our air purifier program. We had sent out 844 applications. We received back 379. This is all as of October 1st. We've received back 379 eligible applications and have emailed then back out 421 promotional codes for homeowners to access free air purifiers. The reason why we received 379 and sent out 421 is because of homes that might have multiple units or multifamily apartments, residential properties. And so of the 421 codes that we've released out, we've so far received, as of October 1st, 241 orders of those air purifiers, which are the Allen Flex air purifiers, all of which have gone out or either have been delivered or are in delivery. So we'll continue to receive those applications and orders on a rolling basis through the end of the year, but just wanted to provide a quick status on the program.
Tom, are you going to ask for any testimonials from those residents that have received the filters, or any type of communication feedback so we can publish?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to collect some of what I've received so far and can share that back and just to kind of put some more feelers out there. Certainly what we've noticed so far is, one, really no issues with the products themselves. So the products themselves have been really easy to, set up. I have one in my office and it's been very easy to use. And they're quieter than people expect as well. And so we'll certainly collect some more of that feedback to share back with the board.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tom. Any questions for Tom? Community engagement?
I have a question, Tom.
Dave?
Hey, do we thinking about putting out a press release about that E-195 that Avello's purchasing? That's a huge deal, and the neighbors have no idea. The New Haven Register and none of the local media have picked it up. It's positive news for the airline, and it's showing that Avello is going to grow, and the noise won't be as bad as their old jets.
Yeah, it's a great comment and something certainly I'll look into. Like you said, it is a great development. They are, from what I understand, quieter as well. Will certainly be a welcome part of the fleet. So I can follow up on that one.
That's a great point, Dave. Yeah, I think as we get closer, having the media machine, the PR machine ramped up from Avports to the local media on the background of those new jets. And I thought I saw something, a blurb when they actually announced the purchase. But I think a full media blitz and introduction into the New Haven market as we, 6 months out, have a better idea.
Yeah, and I think people will be excited to really know how far those aircraft can take us
Yeah.
from Tweed, get us to the West Coast.
100%.
Yeah, sorry, do we know that they intend to operate those out of Tweed? Did I miss that
That-
part?
That's my attention. Yeah.
Okay, but we know that, or we assume?
I,
I had heard that they're gonna operate those and basically start reducing the 700s, keep the 800s. But with 50 airplanes and this being their biggest base, we're gonna see a lot of it.
Yeah, okay, great.
and in 2 cycles, right? They ordered 100. They paid for 50.
Yeah, I think they have 50 firm and an option on
And then
another.
they have option on an additional 50.
It's got a 3,000-mile range.
Okay.
It's very efficient aircraft.
Again, thanks, Tom. Any other questions for Tom? All right. Item 8, reports and action items, resolution number 628. Let me read it. The resolution 628 in your board packet, approval of a transition plan for Tom Rafter, dated October 15th, 2025. So where Connecticut General Statute Sections 15-120I-10 authorizes Tweed New Haven Airport Authority, the authority to employ a staff necessary to carry out its functions and purposes and fixed duties, compensation and benefits of such staff. And whereas Article 6 of the authority's bylaws give the board of directors authority to appoint, remove and replace an executive director. And whereas Tom Rafter was appointed by the board to the position of executive director for a term commencing January 23rd, 2023 and ending January 23rd, 2026. And whereas Tom Rafter is currently serving as executive director and has indicated that he would like to extend past said termination date. And whereas the board of directors last month adopted resolution number 627, authorizing the chair of the board to appoint an executive search committee to conduct a search to replace Tom Rafter. And whereas the chair appointed a committee which has met to consider the proposal for Tom Rafter to extend his tenure for a transition period until such time as a replacement is hired, and said committee agreed to the terms and conditions of said transition as contained in attachment A, attached here to, entitled Transition Plan for Tom Rafter. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Tweed New Haven Airport Authority approves the terms and conditions contained in the transition plan for Tom Rafter shown in attachment A, attached here too. Now, can I have a motion to adopt this resolution?
So moved.
Please. John, second?
Second,
Mike, sorry, thank you. Motion has been moved and seconded by Mike. And we're talking about, again, the approval of a transition plan for Tom Rafter, resolution 628. Any discussion?
I had a couple comments that I sent in.
Mark, you
I
have the
don't know
floor.
if Section 3, second paragraph of section 3, paragraph A. There's a
second left.
spelling.
Let's
There's a
catch up with
spelling.
these.
Okay. Second paragraph in
Okay, section
A.
3, I got you, section 3. A,
Yep. Yep. Second paragraph that starts off with for a termination. The second line there, it says it should be 3.
January 24th, 2026, October 24th, 2026, 3 months base.
Keep going.
And
Restart.
then
Oh,
it
gotcha,
says
thank
the
you. Yeah, it's a
Yep.
spelling error. Got it.
Yep. And then
Okay.
the other thing I had was section 6, goals and
Gotcha.
objectives. I'm not sure that those goals and objectives apply to this for this transition. He's not really going to be providing any annual review or anything like that. So I'm not sure that that section applies here, or maybe we rewrite some goals for
Alright, fine.
him, as a transition consultant or whatever.
Modification? All right,
That's
any
all I
others?
had.
All right, any other comments, questions regarding this resolution? Okay, Mark, you had the floor, so why don't you make a motion to amend?
Okay, I make a
Mark?
motion to amend, based on my comments.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Was that, okay, we're second by Ray. Ray, call for a vote. All in favor of making an amendment or modifications to resolution 628 as noted? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
By hand? Great. The motion passed. Thank you very much. The modifications to resolution 628 has passed. Those amendments will be edited, or those edits will be made. And we will we'll add those to next month's agenda so the board can see the final additions. Great. Moving on, anything else on the 628? That's done. All right, other options, excuse me. Item 9, other business. Get myself together here, everyone. All right, other business. So roughly 30 hours or so ago, the authority became aware of an issue raised by Mayor Elicker about the Homeland Security video being shown at the TSA area of the airport that he regarded as a partisan statement about the reason for the shutdown of the government and should no longer be shown. Upon review of the matter yesterday, the authority researched the legality of the partisan messaging and concluded the video implicated the Federal Hatch Act, the First Amendment, and other legal issues, including the authority's covenants in the city's lease and the grants assurances we have given to the FAA. Subsequent discussions among the city airports and the authority have concluded with a consensus that this high-profile matter should be brought to the board with a recommendation that the video no longer be shown. With that said, I'd like to entertain a motion to amend the agenda to add the following item, resolution number 629. Resolution posting the use of airport resources for partisan and political purposes. Can I have a motion to amend? Okay, Carlos, can I get a second? Mike, thank you. All right, that motion has been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with this video. I don't even know what's going on. Can somebody explain what happened in a little bit more detail?
So,
I could,
what you want to do is,
Try,
correct, why don't you see if you can sum it up?
it's a message from Transportation, Homeland Security Director.
Yeah.
But it basically is implicating Democrats as not being, or being the reason for the shutdown, if you will. It calls out specifically the word Democrats. And that's where I think it crosses the line in terms of political partisanship.
So Mark, I think you could Google the Secretary of Homeland Security's TSA message, and it's about a 30-second video, and you'll understand exactly what we're referring to.
Yeah, thank you.
Right, no problem. Thank you. Any other discussion on amending the agenda to include resolution 629? Seeing none, all in favor of amendment? Yes,
Is Commissioner Phillips on the call? I think he switched to his. Is he on the Zoom?
Commissioner.
Just,
Jesse,
Oh,
you see him?
Jesse?
He switched to his phone. I want to make sure he's
Jesse, are you with
maybe
us?
he's in the audience. Is he gonna? I don't know.
But mine came
He
off.
was here.
I think he's trying to,
Oh, he's a participant, not a panelist.
yeah, he might be. He said that he switched from his laptop.
What's his?
Is he trying to dial back in?
Yeah, or he says he's on the phone. Maybe they, 627-5987.
You have that number in there?
436.
I don't think we need it.
Okay.
Okay, I don't think we need it. So all in favor of amending the agenda, all in favor? Raise your hand. Yeah, I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry, he's there. It's okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, we're voting. All in favor of amending the agenda? Signify by raising your hand or saying yay.
Aye.
All opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed by Ray. Okay. So, the yeas have it by supermajority. The item will be added to the amended agenda. Now, moving on. Let's take up the resolution 629. So let me read the resolution. Resolution 629. Resolution prohibiting the use of airport resources for partisan and political purposes. Whereas the mission of the Tweed New Haven Airport Authority is to maintain and improve Tweed New Haven Airport as a vital public asset operated safely, effectively, and sustainably. And whereas the authority is responsible for issuing and administering the operating standards as approved by the board. And whereas there are airport rules and regulations and other laws applicable to political activity at the airport. And whereas as a steward of a public asset, the authority must uphold a public trust by refraining from engaging in or supporting partisan or political activities. Now, therefore, be it resolved effective immediately, no airport supplies, equipment, or other resources, including those managed by the airport's private operator, shall be used for any partisan or political purposes. Comments or questions on resolution 629?
This is, just to clarify, this is consistent with the position of the Connecticut Airport Authority and Bradley, correct?
It's consistent with what this authority.
Yeah.
What,
I
right?
was just curious what Bradley and the. CAA
I can't comment
Okay.
directly on what's.
Just a point of order.
Yeah, point of order, yeah.
Should we be asking for a motion first
No,
or?
And then discussion, and that would be good.
okay. So we'll have okay, so I'll skip that step, pardon me.
Sorry.
We'll take, no, thank you for that. Point of order. There's a lot going on. Let's have a motion. For what? What?
Door unlocked.
Okay.
It's happening, sorry.
There's a lot going on. Can we have a motion for approval?
So
Mike, Mike, second by
Second.
Serena. All right. Now, discussion and comments on resolution 629.
I just wanted to make the comment that I thought that it was good to understand what the Connecticut Airport Authority and Bradley were doing on this matter, just as a peer. And my understanding was that they are doing something similar and that we're not going alone in this position.
So we've researched that.
Yeah.
Okay, and we can't with 100% certainty through documents, clarify what CAA is doing. So
If I may, Mr. Chair, though, Kevin, we also did some research around the country. Peter Kirsch has been in touch with a number of airports of all sizes. We're not the only ones.
and Peter Kirsch is a consultant for the authority
Works with you.
who also works with you. All right, so if you did not hear the question or comment, Mike, the question or comment came from Kevin around were we as the authority aligned with the practices that CAA and Bradley are doing in this area regarding this TSA homeland request? And the response by the chair was, we cannot with 100% certainty know exactly what CAA is doing in this space. And the executive director followed up by saying that other airports around the country are aligned in the actions that are being proposed in resolution 629. Mike, did you have a question or?
No.
Oh, I saw your hand. And Linda Hennessy has joined, board member Linda Hennessy has joined the meeting. Okay. Any other comments or questions regarding resolution 629? Seeing
Matt
none.
has his hand up.
Yes.
Matt has his hand up.
Matt, who?
Trying to raise my hand. I'm
Okay,
fully
Matt, I see
supportive
you.
of this resolution because political partisanship has nothing to do with how we get people from point A to point B in this country. But I do have a question. And again, I appreciate the emeritus status I have, but we all have a fiduciary responsibility. Is there any risk to losing any existing or future federal funds as a result of us doing what we are about to do? Has that at all been examined or explained? I'm full. If I had a voting opportunity here, I would vote yes, but I just think we need to understand those kind of ramifications, particularly given what we've seen happen during the shutdown and certain parties or portions of this country being targeted.
Thank you, Matt, for the question. I'm gonna turn it over to Q, our attorney, and let him respond.
I think the short answer is that we are vulnerable to some form of pushback by the federal government. And it's something that they clearly have asked that the TSA put in front of various airports and airport authorities like ours. It's not a mandate. It's something that they are requesting that we comply with. But for the legal reasons that we've already discussed, we feel that we should not honor their request that we post and continue to post the political message. But we do have to admit that there's a very partisan aspect to this effort by the FAA, and we could have a problem in the future with federal funding.
Thank you, Hugh.
Thank you, Matt. Somebody, who does?
Serena.
Serena.
I agree with what Matt just stated, and under normal circumstances, this would be a resolution that would be normal for this or this authority, because we are not supposed to be political in the work that we do. However, concerns, of course, that it just based on where we are right now with federal resources, it could be detrimental, but it is we have to take a stand, period. So I think that it is something that we should do as the authority, and it protects what we're trying to do here. Thank you.
Thank you, Serena. Mike.
As far as resolution, I think the ramifications would be much more negative on the customer base and getting them, giving them the mindset that we're not doing the job. No political announcement, no negative announcement should be made without the approval of the authority.
Point taken. Thank you, Mike. Any other comments, questions? All right, seeing none, all in favor of adoption of resolution 629, raise your hand or state yay or nay. Opposed? Opposed?
I'm gonna abstain since I'm not familiar with the details of this.
Okay, and abstentions. So we have Mark. Russell. All right, great. With that, the item is adopted. Thank you very much. All right. Item 10 on the agenda is public comment. Ready to roll. See someone's hand up. Who do we have there, Felipe?
Pastor.
Pastor, good to see you. State your name and address.
Good to see you all again. I'm Reverend Jack Perkins Davidson of Spring Glen Church, which is at 1825 Whitney Avenue in Hamden. I live at 53 Santa Fe Avenue in Hamden. I came in a little late, so I only caught that last resolution vote just now. And so I had put in the Q&A box my question about how we define partisan politics and some specific examples. You all do some good work partnering with the community to try and take concrete data about environmental concerns and reporting that out. In this political climate, is that partisan? You all do some good work hiring a diversity of staff and pilots in a world where one party is pushing very hard against DEI practices. Is that partisan politics? Having an airline that does ICE deportation trafficking flights, is that partisan politics? Which, as you all know, who have been at many meetings where I've showed up, that is one of my main concerns. Part of why I was late to sign into the meeting today was I was coming from a press conference related to an incident where 8 different individuals were disappeared by ICE today in Hamden, Connecticut, from a car wash. We don't have names. We don't know their full stories. We just know an entire staff of an entire car wash was disappeared. And we had almost every state representative, every state senator, every local town legislator showed up for this press conference to express their unity against ICE's actions. So I think it is clear to say that the broad community is against supporting the unconstitutional actions of ICE. And so I think there is momentum building for amongst the community to boycott Avelo. The news came down that Avelo just pulled out of Portland Airport for being in response to widespread boycotts in that community. When I first started attending these meetings, it was to encourage you all to take some brave action. I think you all, my ask is shifting now to prepare you all for the inevitability that Avelo might have to make some hard decisions and pull out of Tweed.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you all. Yep, thank you.
Oh, in the room, please.
Hi.
Step up. State your name and address. I think we can hear you from about right there.
Okay.
Yep, thank you very much.
So my name is JC Wyatt. I am in Brantford, Connecticut. And I have met a lot of people and there's new people on the board. And tonight I wanted to make sure instead of knowing a little bit about me, I want to let you know a lot about me. So I'm going to provide to everyone on the board a packet of information on my life and who I am and what I do. And I would like to have, I know we can't have a discussion, but I would like to have this information sent to the C committee and or actually any nominating committee to the board. Here you go. Here you go. There you go.
Thank you.
And I know we can't really discuss, but again, I am looking to hope to be part of this board and be part of helping more wonderful things go on this commission. So you can review the information and hope to seek this information to the seat committee.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Okay. It's better than, being an email in your email. It's
Yeah.
I can give you a bunch of fun stuff to look at.
That's great. Do it. Felipe. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. You
You're up.
ready for me? Okay. Trini Oxall, 146 Stuyvesant Avenue, New Haven. I have complained about numerous things. My latest issue is the traffic on Fort Hale Road. On October 9th, traffic was jammed up for approximately 2 hours between 8 and 10 p.m. Same thing happened the following night. And also on the 10th in the morning, where we cannot get through that road. And there really is no way for us to go around it. The problem that I face is that I have not seen an extra duty officer directing traffic at that intersection. I can't even give you an estimation of the last time I saw an officer either through our streets or directing traffic from that particular intersection. We still have a great problem with people parking on the no standing resident only areas. And I did make Mr. Cavalier aware of this, and that was last Friday, and I have not heard back from him. I'd like to just express my dissatisfaction with how extra duty officers are or are not being hired to minimize traffic and the parking problems in our area. Thank you.
Thank you. Lorena. State your name and address, please.
It's Lorena Venegas from East Haven, and I want to focus my comment on the Freedom of Information request for the list of the air purifier recipients. If the Tweed Airport Authority or any of the entities used any monies, local, state, or federal, the list belongs to the public. As a Tweed Airport Authority under Connecticut statute, this is a quasi-public entity. And the lawyer that responded to my public information request did not want to give me the list. And I phoned her to talk about it. She didn't return a phone call back. So I'm actually doing this public comment, which will be entered as part of the Freedom of Information appeal. And since then, our state representative from East Haven named Joseph Zullo has also requested the same list so that he can do his job of helping his constituents in town know whether they qualify or not for an air purifier, and he didn't get the list either. And that's really odd, and you can agree to that, David White and also Robert Reed and everyone else who's involved in politics, government, in any manner, that a state rep that doesn't have access to public information is really wrong. And when AvPorts like Mark Rick sitting there is hoarding information that should belong to the public and to the neighborhoods, it's wrong. You should definitely, work on that transparency and accountability. And it starts with the little things, because right now we have a deadline to make sure that those people are applying for the air purifier. And that deadline is coming up really quick as Thanksgiving and Christmas come. And if East Haven persons need that air purifier and they're on the list, they should get it. And they should know about it. And they should question whether they are on the list. Right now, we only have a tiny little map. You can't zoom in on the website. It's very poorly done by Tom Cavalier. It's very unprofessional. And when you go to meetings, you hear, well, maybe 300 people applied, maybe 400 people. There's no real data on who's applied and what house applied, and color in the map. Do something. But to have nothing. As a second statement, this is the 5th time that I've asked you to print out the Connecticut Department of Energy and the Environment application for the planned 60% expansion of the new terminal on stilts. And, that is essential to be printed out and to be able to be read by the public. Just like you did the environmental assessment, you can do the same thing. Print it out and make it available to the public.
30 seconds left.
Now, right now in East Haven, we don't have the capacity on our phones to even view the document. That's over 3,000 pages. And no one wants to drive to Hartford to make an appointment with Deep to do the same. You can help this. Mark, just print out the application. Make it public now. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorena. Lisa Brandes, name and address, please. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Lisa Brandis, 162 Willard Street, New Haven, Connecticut. Also a resident and also a student at Southern Connecticut State University. I'm in a public area. Sorry if it's a little loud. Anyway, I'm here to comment on the new airplanes and would like to hear about not only their service qualities, but their energy efficiency, how they use fuel and their fuel efficiency, and how it's compared to the other airplanes flown at Tweed, both by Breeze and Avelo, and also clearly their sound characteristics, which seem to be of interest to all the community as well as this board. I think that would be a very useful set of information as you publicize these new airplanes to talk about how they're going to solve some of the both environmental and sound and noise and other issues. You know, can they plug in, or do they have to keep their engines running? Things like that. So that's one thing to suggest. A second thing is I would like to make a comment, particularly to the folks from Avports, that you consider not only holidays, but school, university and college breaks, because there are 200,000 higher education students, many of whom go to national or even international universities, and we could all name those, that have populations that fly at Thanksgiving, that fly away in December, that fly back in mid-January, and often the schedules don't align, that you can't get back from Chicago or Atlanta or the Carolinas if you're coming to school in Connecticut, and because the flight services don't align with that. So maybe taking a look at the school break calendars when students come, when they and their families visit for vacations or holidays or the Yale Harvard game or family weekend. So please consider that as you think about this very large population of educational travelers, the students and their families who visit. And there's clearly several 100,000 students who come and visit colleges and universities at Connecticut to look at them. So think about when those visitation weekends are and programs that bring students here. And I think that the higher education committee would be happy to collaborate with you, and their students would be happy to fly these airlines out of convenient and easy to reach Tweed from many parts of Connecticut. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lisa. Have a good evening. Tony, good evening. State your name and address, please.
Good evening to you all on the board. Tony Laurenti, 23 Briar Lane, Meriden, Connecticut. Speaking on behalf of myself regarding the queries about the Embraer, the E2, I can give you the brochure version as I'm type rated on that airplane. And of course, the A220. Not too much math. It's a little bit less range than the A220, and it has the geared turbofan engines similar to the A220, meaning it will sound just like it. It will sound very nice. It's almost the right, if not the right airplane for the right airport. Little shorter on the range. It's a reason why I come to understand Breeze went with the A220, as I was hoping they would have went with the E2 since I was already qualified on it. But be that as it may, they don't take my commentary as they should not. So I'm looking forward to seeing both those aircraft at Tweed. I wish both airlines success, tailwinds. And if it matters to everyone on the board, don't feel so bad. Many folks get off my airplane and suggest I could have done a better job and things of that nature. That's all. Thank you and good night.
Thanks, Tony. Michael G., name and address, please.
Sure, Michael Giordano down in Juno Beach, Florida. And I just wanted to make a brief response since the board can't respond on these public comments. But to Lisa regarding the request for more flights and more seat availability during holiday breaks and vacations, school vacations and all that stuff. Just remember, that's the airlines, not the airport, that controls that stuff. I'm sure Tweed would like to have flights every day of the week, but they can't tell the airline you must fly on January 15th to bring college students back to Yale University. They can request it. We can request it. You can write emails and places for public comment with the airlines. So that part of your public comment should be directed at the airlines, not at the airport. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks, Mike. Give me another minute. As we wait to see if anyone joins the queue, I'd like to publicly congratulate Felipe on the birth of his third son.
Oh, wow.
And can I add a comment why I was late today?
Oh,
My sixth grandchild.
hey, that's not showing her sixth grandchild.
Well,
Hey.
The hospital. Pretty good excuse.
Our kids are very busy, huh?
Yeah.
And with all that enthusiasm and jubilation, I think I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Linda?
I'll second
Second,
that.
Mike? Have a good evening, everyone. Meeting is over. We're adjourned.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Wow.